Okay, good morning, everyone. Welcome to this week's virtual plant clinic. My name is Bill Lester. I'm with University of Florida IFAS Extension Service in Hernando County. And today I'm all by myself. I was supposed to have a special guest on today and they weren't able to make it. Lily is still out of town on vacation, I think. I'm not sure what. I think she's up there in the Philadelphia area somewhere up in Pennsylvania. And she won't be back for another week or two. So I'm here today. So if anybody tunes in and you have any lawn and garden questions, please feel free to go ahead and put them in the chat. If you watch the recorded version of this live session, like either this evening or tomorrow or next week or whatever it may be, please feel free to go ahead and email me any questions you might have. Send pictures, lots of pictures. There's no such thing as too many pictures. Send good, clear pictures, and a lot of times we can figure out, exactly what the issue is and how to go about solving it from that. Um, did have a couple of things that I wanted to cover here real quick at the very beginning. If you have not had a chance to do so, if you can go ahead and take just a moment and fill out our short survey, and I'll go ahead and put this link in the chat also, because it's a long link for you to be copying down. And so I'll go ahead and put this in the chat. Let me go ahead and copy it here. This is just a short survey that we really appreciate if everybody can go ahead and click on that link and take it. It's only a few questions, only takes a few minutes. It gives us an idea of, have you learned anything from these virtual plant clinics we're doing? Have they benefited you? Do you have any suggestions, ideas, ways that we can improve? We're always looking for ideas. We're always looking for feedback. Um, we do have some people tuning in. So Cindy, good morning. How are you? And Lee is here also. And I got a picture from Lee the other day we're going to show in just a few minutes and talk about that. I see Buddy's here from the Panhandle. So if you could just take a moment and I'll go ahead and show this link again and I'll put it back in the chat box also. But for anybody who watches the recorded version of this, you can go ahead and click on that survey also. So we appreciate if people who watch us live, and I know a lot of people follow us and watch this after the fact recorded, that would be great if you could all take that survey. So I see we have Monique on here. We have Rick Aarons. Good morning, Rick. How are you? Everybody's on here today. So the room is filling up. I always have this fear of like 500 people tuning in, and then the comments are just going to spin so quickly I won't be able to get to any of them. But this is a good size group. So, like I said, if you guys have any lawn and garden questions, go ahead and put them in the chat. But I do have something to share with you. I know that in past weeks I made references to the fact that I'm growing calabaza in my backyard. Calabaza is a winter squash. It's also known as Cuban pumpkin, Cuban squash, Caribbean squash, goes by a lot of different names. It is a winter squash, but it's a slightly different species. It's more of a tropical vining squash. And I'd never tried growing it before. I was told about it, and I had learned that University of Florida is doing research on this to see if it would be a viable commercial crop for growers in South Florida. Obviously, it grows well here in Central Florida. I grew it. So I had Dr. Maru with University of Florida. He's the researcher that's working with this crop, and he did a recorded class with me. And let me go ahead and show you where you can find it. If you go to the Hernando County Government's YouTube channel and look under the playlist, you're going to find a playlist for extension. And one of the classes on there is a class on growing calabaza. And Dr. Maru went through all the basics. Well, somebody who watched that class, it turns out, had grown it. And she sent me a picture of the one that she grew. And this thing was just, she's a fairly small, short woman. This thing was just huge. I'm not even sure how she was able to pick it up. It was just a monster calabaza. So she offered to send me and Dr. Maru some seeds also. And Dr. Maru's like, I'll take these seeds and I'll go ahead and put them in our breeding program. And a few months ago, early summer, I planted some in my backyard. Let me show you here really quickly what happened. Let me go ahead and share my screen. I got a couple pictures because yesterday I picked the first of my calabaza, and I have a total of 4 on the vines right now. So this isn't the only one I'm going to get, I hope. So there we go. You should be able to see that. And that's with the first calabaza I grew. And that is with my backyard that looks like a complete and total disaster at this point. I need to get out there and clean some stuff up. But you see, calabaza grows very well, and the vines grow far and wide. They are extremely disease resistant. I have had no fungal disease problems with these plants at all. The one problem I have had is occasional outbreaks of caterpillars. So you can see from the leaves in the foreground there, and I think we have a closer shot. There's one of the smaller calabasas that's coming along. That's going to be ready to pick in a few weeks. You can see some of the leaves are looking pretty chewed up from caterpillars. All I need to do is just get out there one day before it rains and spray with spinosad, which I did before when I had an outbreak of caterpillars, and that should clear them right up. So the one that I picked, if we go back to me with that right there, came in at a little bit over 24 pounds. So that's just shy of a 25-pound winter squash that I grew in the backyard, and hopefully it's going to be followed by a couple more. So calabaza is definitely a winner here in Central Florida. It is a winner down in South Florida. The University of Florida does have a research program going on looking for specific strains and varieties of the plant. Because if you look online under calabaza, the fruits look different. Mine came out kind of yellowish tan color and very hard when it gets, fully ready to be picked. Other ones are going to come out kind of green and whitish striped. So they look very, very different because nobody's done any work with the breeding and the varieties and the lines. So University of Florida is working on it. Thank you so much. That was pretty good there. And Lee brings up a really good point. Lee would like some seeds. Can I send a self-addressed envelope? I was thinking about this because I still have seeds left from last year. The lady I mentioned who took our class and successfully grew calabaza, she brought me a calabaza by the office. She lives here in Hernando County. And it was a pretty good size one. It was about the size of the one that I picked in my backyard yesterday. And I still have seeds left from it. And if I get a couple fruits off of these vines, I'm going to end up with a bunch of seeds. Tell you what, give me a chance to cut the calabaza open, get the seeds out, get them cleaned up. But sometime within a couple of weeks, we will offer packets of seeds. I can send probably 5 or 10 seeds to each one of our loyal followers and listeners to the virtual plant clinic. So see, you're going to actually get something out of watching us. So when the time comes, I'll ask you to shoot me an email with your mailing address, and we'll mail you. We do have little envelopes that we could throw either 5 or 10 calabaza seeds in. And hey, next late spring, early summer, give them a try in your yard. Buddy can try them up in North Florida and see, how far north they're going to do well. They love the heat. They love the rain. They love the humidity. Like I said, I have had 0 disease problems. They do get caterpillars, and I'm not sure what kind of cat. I need to grab some caterpillars and ID them to find out what species is kind of giving me a problem there. But we'll go ahead and put something together where we will mail you free seeds if you send us your mailing address and if you're kind enough to take our survey. I'll show the link to that survey again before the end here today. But I thought I'd share that. I think that Lee down in South Florida, down in Broward County, has grown them also. I'm not sure if anybody else here has grown calabaza either. I know when I was given a free one, you can find recipes online. They're really, really good if you You have to take it, and basically it's a big hard squash. I'm probably going to have to borrow a hatchet or a small axe from Teresa to break it open, peel off the skin, cut it up into small cubes. If you use olive oil, hot pepper, either powder or hot pepper sauce, cilantro, garlic, because all Cuban food has lots and lots of garlic in it, salt and pepper, and roast them that way. I made that a few times and it is delicious. So definite winner. I would definitely recommend that. So I mentioned that Lee sent me some pictures. Give me just a moment here. I can go ahead and find that in my email. Okay, here we go. There we go. I got it pulled up here. So let me go ahead and share my screen and show you this. I thought this is kind of interesting. This is something I never have personal experience with or never tried before. But Lee sent me a picture of, this is BT, one of the brands of BT or Bacillus thuringiensis that you can go out there and buy is under the brand name of Dipel. And I've seen bottles of Dipel before. They have it already mixed in a spray bottle. They have the concentrate that you can mix on your own and put in a pump sprayer. But apparently they make it in a dust formulation also. And Lee asked, should I try buying this and using it? Is the dust going to work better or worse than the liquid? And I honestly don't know, because both the liquid, when you spray it on your plants to help control caterpillars, because BT works very well on caterpillars. I know the liquid works very well. I'm sure the dust works also. With both of them, the next time you either water your garden or it rains hard, it washes off. And rain is going to wash off a liquid, and rain is going to definitely wash off a dust. I don't know if liquid BT formulations have a spreader sticker built into it. That is an additional thing that they add to it that makes it actually stick to the plant's leaves. That way it's going to stay on there longer. It's not going to wash off quite as easily in a light rain or morning dew or when you water your garden. So I had to tell Lee that I really wasn't sure. I had never tried Dipel dust before. If anybody else has, let me know if it works, if you're happy with it, you weren't happy with it. I think Lee is going to try it and let us know if it works well for her. Obviously, the dust or liquid formulation that you mix with water and spray do the same thing. BT is a very, very good control, very safe to use control for all different caterpillars. Very, very handy in the vegetable garden. Like you saw a few minutes ago, I have caterpillars feasting on my calabaza leaves. Works very well, works very quickly, very safe for you to use, very safe for your pets, children, neighbors. Don't have to worry an awful lot about any kind of off-target issues or making anybody sick. So just thought I'd share that. Wasn't sure if anybody was familiar with that or not. Like I said, I'm really not. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to toss them in here. Don't see any at the moment. Bassem, good morning. How are you? If you have any questions, go ahead and put them in. Something else I wanted to mention is we have a series of classes on vegetable garden coming up. And let me go ahead and pull up my list here. We have these all scheduled and they are all on our website. Let me go ahead and share the link to that. So if you are interested in finding out any information about our upcoming classes, there we go. Let me scroll that along the bottom there. If you go to Hernando Extension, all one word.com, you're going to find a full listing of all of our classes. And coming up on Tuesday, September 27th, we have Planning Your Best Fall Vegetable Garden Ever. This starts at 10 a.m. All of them start at 10 a.m. and all of them are online. They're all on Zoom, and all of them require advanced registration. They're all free, no charge, but you have to register for them in advance. You can register right before the class, that's fine, to get the link to be able to get in, and they're all on Zoom. I'm going to record all of them, so if you're not able to catch one of them live in person, don't worry. You'll be able to watch the replay of it. Within about a week or so, we have to send off the video to get it cleaned up and get music and captions added to it. But we'll make that available. So Tuesday, September 27th at 10 a.m., we have Planning Your Best Fall Vegetable Garden Ever. The week after that, Tuesday, October 4th, we will have winter vegetable pests and how to control them. Because during the winter in your vegetable garden, you don't have nearly as many insect pests and diseases, but you still have some. So we're going to talk about all the different ones that you would probably encounter and safe and effective ways that you can control them. The next week after that, Tuesday, October 11th, we'll be talking about growing leafy greens in Central Florida. You can grow lettuce here in Central Florida during the winter, but you can grow green leaf lettuce, red leaf lettuce, speckled lettuce, romaine. You grow spinach, Swiss chard, kale, all kinds of different varieties of kale. I mean, there's a lot of options for really healthy, easy to grow green leafy things. And if you like those kind of things, I do. I think most people do. Not everybody does. Not everybody likes kale. But if you're interested in learning more about how to grow them and find out how easy they are to grow and when to grow them, that's class for you, Tuesday, October 11th. Tuesday, October 18th, we're going to be talking about growing brassicas in Central Florida. And if you're thinking, well, what the heck is a brassica? It's a plant family that includes vegetables like broccoli, cauliflower, cabbage, Brussels sprouts, and a couple of others. They're all in the same family, so they're all closely related. They all get the same pests, same diseases, same problems, but most of them do really, really well here in Central Florida. I've grown broccoli before, and I was amazed at how well it did. I got a lot of broccoli. I got a really big harvest off of it. Very few problems, couple little problems, but we'll go over all the different problems that you may encounter, exactly when to plant them, how to grow them. Like I said, broccoli, cabbage, cauliflower. Cauliflower likes it if it's a really cold winter. If it's a really unusually warm winter, your cauliflower won't be happy. But broccoli and cabbage, very easy to grow. The week after that, Tuesday, October 25th, we'll be talking about composting for vegetable gardeners. So all the specifics about making compost to put into a vegetable garden, what you want to make it from, what you want to avoid, a little bit about food safety, a little bit about how to go about making compost, how much to put in your garden. We're going to cover all that. Then the final one is going to be Tuesday, November 1st, and that's wrapping up the winter vegetable garden, because before you know it, it's going to be winter. And then before you know it, right after that, it's going to be spring again. So you need to plan your winter garden early enough where you get it planted, it grows, you harvest it, you get a lot of broccoli, cabbage, lettuce, whatever you're growing, and it's all done before it gets really, really hot in the spring. So it really does all come down to timing. And timing is very, very important for vegetable gardens here in Florida. And we're going to cover all that and more. And of course, we always leave plenty of time at the end for all your questions. So if we bring up something you're not really sure about, don't feel afraid to ask a question, and don't feel afraid to go ahead and put a question in the chat today. And I see a couple questions here. So Alicia, good morning to you. Alicia, I remember last week or the week before that, whenever I was here last, I can't even keep track. You asked about canning classes in Orange County. I understand that they have a new agent there in Orange County that's in charge of that, and she should be having some classes on that soon. So if you look online and follow Orange County Extension Service and go to their website, they should have some kind of listing of classes there. So if they don't, I think we're going to end up putting something together on canning classes, because I can, and a lot of other people are very, very interested in canning. And if you don't do it correctly, what you do is you end up with a great big mess on your hands. So I'm not the expert on that either. I can help, instigate it, but I would get some experts in here about how to do it safely and correctly. Buddy wants to know about, are there any updates on the vanilla research? Not that I know of. I will look into that. I'll look online to see if there's any updates about that. It is continuing. He did get a grant for vanilla research to find different specific varieties and strains and kind of test grow all of them in Florida, see which ones grow really well, which ones don't grow well here. Maybe they need hotter temperatures, whatever it might be, which ones are going to be the most productive. Also, the tastiest. No point growing vanilla that doesn't taste very good. So I'll look into that. Here, let me go ahead and write a message to myself to look into it. Otherwise, I will forget it. And we got a question here from Lori. She says, good morning, Dr. Lester. I'm growing sweet potatoes for the first time this year. I have some in my backyard also. And I have not tried checking, like feeling around underground to see if there's any roots there or not. I got kind of a late start on them, so I don't know if I'm going to get sweet potatoes or not. Hopefully I will. She said the vines and leaves are still green and still see blooms. Mine are green and growing, but I don't have any blooms on them yet. When is the best time to harvest? After the vines die back? Can't really remember when they were planted, sometime this early summer. So, Lori, it sounds like you planted yours around the time when I did mine. The best time to harvest, they take about, I think, 100 days from the time you plant them. And generally, you're going to wait for the vines to die back. Commercially, they plant them probably earlier than you and I did. I should have gotten them in a little bit earlier, closer to like late spring than early summer, but I figured I'd try. But commercially, they wait for the vines. The vines can and will flower, but they don't always. And the vines will die back as we move further into fall and closer to winter. And at that point, you can harvest them. The best thing to do is find where the vines go into the ground and just start putting your hands in the soil, feeling around and feel, oh, I feel a big fat root down there. Or you feel around, it's like, I don't feel any sweet potato roots down there yet. If you don't feel any sweet potatoes, let them go. They can keep growing up until winter, first frost, beginning of cold. Eventually, a cold night or frost or freeze will kill them, but you can just let them go until either they give you sweet potatoes or they die from the cold. But try feeling around. I need to go this weekend and try feeling around mine, see how they're coming along, see how things are doing. But generally, it takes a good 100 days for them to grow before you're going to get roots. Alicia said, I didn't get any broccoli and my cabbage head was small. Very important that you plant these things the right time of year. You don't want to plant them too early. You don't want to plant them too late. I hear from people and they're asking questions in April, May, June. What's wrong with my cabbage? What's wrong with my broccoli? They don't grow here in Central Florida after beginning of March. So that's why you have to wrap up your winter garden at the right time, because these things, timing is very, very important. So Alicia, go ahead and sign up for the classes. If you're not able to attend, after the class, I always send the Zoom link to the recorded version out to everybody who registered so you can watch it that night. And then for everybody else, we send the video version off, get it cleaned up and finished, and then put it back on our YouTube channel on Hernando County Government YouTube. We also put it back on Facebook. Lily shares mine. I share her videos. We get it out there. Not difficult to find. And Monique asks about, what about green beans? Good question. Green beans, you can go out there and you can plant right now. Right now is a fine time. We are in the middle of the second warm season we get here in Central Florida. So it gets a little confusing because the late summer, early fall warm crop season overlaps with the very beginning of cool crop season. So green beans don't do well when the weather gets really cold and freezing, but they don't take long to grow. So if you plant them right now, you can get green beans. But if you wait too late, you're going to have green beans in the process of growing when we're going to get a freeze and frost and they're going to die. The other things like broccoli and cauliflower, if we get a light freeze or frost, they're going to do okay. They take the cold weather just fine. So yeah, Alicia said my cauliflower got mold. Something we're going to cover in that class on brassicas. Cauliflower does not like heat at all. So anytime, even if you're starting them from seeds, if it's really, really hot when they first come up, you're not going to get a very good harvest. As they're growing, if the weather gets really hot, they're going to be really unhappy and they're not going to give you a really good harvest. So the plants may grow, get larger, a couple months go by, you're like, okay, my cauliflower is getting really big. And the cauliflower either won't give you a head, the head will be very, very small and moldy, or you're going to get a cauliflower head about the size of a $50. And nobody wants a little tiny cauliflower. So cauliflower needs cool weather and is much fussier about that than broccoli and cabbage. And Alicia says, in the past, it was canning jams or preserves. Hey, I think everybody should learn how to can everything. I have canned jams and preserves. I've done strawberry jam in the past, and that came out really, really good. I bought a case or two of strawberries during strawberry season here in Florida. I think we went to the Strawberry Festival in Plant City and got a couple cases. I made strawberry jam. It was great. I made the peach vanilla bourbon jam, and it didn't really gel up that well. It's kind of runny, but it's really, really good, really tasty. And I'm finding different ways to make use of it. So canning jams and preserves is going to be different from canning low acid vegetables, things like corn, green bean, carrots. And that's different from making things that have a lot of vinegar and to preserve it in it, like pickles. They're all different, but they're all doable. None of them are very, very difficult once you learn how to do it and follow the directions. And like anything, a little bit of practice, they are all doable. I mean, if I could figure it out and do it and have it turn out pretty good, I think anybody can. And Alicia said that she's looking for seed potatoes and they're sold out. They are hard to find. You can look online, you can look at local lawn and garden centers and nurseries. Seed potatoes are tough to find. And Corey points out that with cool season crops, if we have a cool fall, stuff planted now will do well. If we have a normal or warm fall, stuff won't do very well. That's very true. And it really depends on the exact crop you're talking about. Some things are more forgiving than others. For example, spinach. If it's not flat out chilly jacket weather, spinach either will not germinate or germinates and grows a tiny bit and it will not do well. It will promptly die. Spinach is very fussy with the temperature. Broccoli is less so, and I think cabbage even less so. Now, obviously, you can't plant them in the middle of summer. That's way, way too hot. But fall and winter weather really do determine how well different various crops do. And I don't even attempt to predict the weather here. You guys can find plenty of websites, blogs, and everything else online that predict this and that. And, no matter what the predictions are, you really don't know what the weather's going to end up being like. And Lori said, one more issue where my sweet potatoes were growing. I've had problems with root knot nematodes in this bed. Will this ruin my sweet potatoes or can they still be eaten? Will the nematodes make you sick? The nematodes will not make you sick. Nematodes, and it depends on how many you have and how much damage they do. Sweet potatoes can be damaged by root knot nematodes. And nematodes are the most active. Nematodes love it when it's hot. So the most active at the height of summer when it's hot and dry in sandy soil. In the dead of winter, when the soil's cooler, they're the least active and they're going to cause the fewest problems. So if you do pull sweet potatoes and the outside skins are damaged or a little bumpy or malformed, if you're able to peel that off, the rest of the sweet potato is completely safe to eat. Corey just planted cucumber seeds. They're about an inch high. Did I do it at the right time? Yes and no. Number one, depends on exactly where you live. So just based on the assumption that you're somewhere in Central Florida, right now is probably the earliest that you could put in cucumbers. They'll come up very quickly. They'll grow very quickly. Plan on being ready to spray them with a fungicide if necessary, and it probably will be necessary because it's still warm and rainy and humid and warm at night, and all that adds up to fungal disease problems on things like cucumbers, squash, tomatoes, a lot of other crops. So no, right now is a fine time to try. Fall cucumbers can be very tough. Like I said, have that fungicide ready, have it mixed up, have it ready to go, and whatever kind of spray bottle you have. Make sure you have all your protective equipment, the correct gloves, the thick plastic gloves, not fabric gloves or leather gloves or anything like that, and be ready to go with the fungicide. You can do it, but like I said, it's not the easiest crop to grow in the fall. Even in the spring, cucumbers can be difficult. I've found that your best shot at cucumbers is start them very early, like mid to late February here in Central Florida. Get them out there, keep them warm, get them up and growing, get them off to a good start, and get them nice and big, and hopefully giving you cucumbers before the diseases and the insect pests really set in. Try to beat them. It's a race. And Glenda has a question here. She won't be back home from Oregon until the 25th. So I assume that that's September 25th. Is it too late to plant cold season vegetables? No, not at all. You can plant cold season vegetables starting now and going all the way up till after Christmas. And it depends on what you're growing. If, let's say, you're growing radishes, they only take 30 days to grow. If you're growing broccoli, that's going to take 70 days to grow. If you're trying to grow cabbage and it's an old variety that gives you a really, really huge head of cabbage and it takes 100 days to grow, you're going to have to get that planted a little bit earlier. But no, September is just the very, very beginning of cool season, fall and winter gardening. It's going to go on for a while. So you don't have to worry about being too late right now. I'm actually right on schedule right now. I will be gone to a conference next week, and Lily will still not be here. I'm not sure if she's still going to be up around Philadelphia or not, or if she's coming back then. But we will not have a virtual plant clinic next Thursday. So this is the first warning. I'll make some more before we wrap it up today. But I'm going to plant my broccoli and cabbage seeds when I get back. And I will actually be on time for once in my vegetable garden. Doesn't happen very often. I always seem to be running late for some reason. And Lee said her cauliflower didn't do well last season because it was just too hot there in Broward County. Broward County and South Florida may be too warm to ever grow cauliflower well unless we have one of those every 20 or 30 years long, chilly winters. Because it doesn't have to be freezing to make cauliflower happy, but it does have to be cool. Chilly nights and not hot days. So yeah, Lee, cauliflower might be really tough to grow down there. Brussels sprouts are going to be even harder. Brussels sprouts love it up north. They'll take snow, They'll take frost, they'll take freezes, they take cold weather. Even here in Central Florida, it rarely gets cold enough where your Brussels sprouts are going to do really well. Some people get some, but to do Brussels sprouts really well, you probably want to be up in the Panhandle or further north, or that once every 20 years record-breaking cold winter here in Florida. Um, and Lee also does some canning of hot sauce and mango jam. I haven't tried mango jam yet. I'm going to have to try that. This is mango season right now. I've noticed that the grocery stores have them for about $1.25 per mango now. About the cheapest we're going to get, I think. I'm sure Lee can buy them alongside of the road or get them from her neighbors or maybe off her own tree for free. But here in Central Florida, the grocery stores, you can find them a little bit over $1 each. Yeah, I need to. Thank you. That's a good idea. I need to try making a few jars of mango jam. I see Teresa has put up a couple of very important links here. One is for cool season vegetables. One is for personal PPE or personal protection equipment for handling pesticides. And that's very important because we always start with recommending things that are generally very safe, only if you follow the directions and only if you wear the correct equipment. None of these things like insecticidal soap, spinosad, BT, you don't want to get it on your skin. You don't want to be breathing it in. It's something that everybody forgets. So let me go ahead and remind you, when you're mixing things, you always need to have on eye protection. Because if you're out there mixing water and even mixing insecticidal soap, you're mixing it in a pump sprayer, you're leaning over, you're adding the water, what can happen? Things can splash, and we don't want to splash, on your face or especially up in your eyes, because even something safe to use, if it gets in your eyes, your mouth, on your skin, may not be so safe. So read the directions, all the directions. Don't be a guy and figure, I don't need directions. Read the directions and make sure you're wearing the correct personal protection equipment to stay safe. Alicia has a comment, and I'm suffering from the same problem. She says, this rain is so much that I can't treat the bugs. She has seedling bell peppers, tomatoes, and collards. They're being hit bad with bugs. First thing you have to figure out is exactly what kind of bugs are giving you problems. Is it aphids? Is it caterpillars of one kind or another? Stink bugs, whatever it might be. So you're going to have to catch them or be able to take a really good picture of them. And if you send us, email me pictures, and I'll go ahead and throw my email up here. Always feel free to email me pictures, even when we're not on here live. And if they're good, clear pictures, we'll figure out what they are. And we'll tell you what kind of bug you have having a problem with and what you could use to help control it. Because something that works on caterpillars probably won't work on aphids and vice versa. You have to know what kind of bugs you're dealing with first before we can figure out what's going on and figure out how to solve this problem. And Corey asks, what broccoli variety are you going to plant? Well, thank you. That's a very good question. I planted a variety a number of years ago, and at that point it was a new variety, and I think it did really, really well in the home garden, and it's called Pac-Man. Just like if anybody on here is old enough to remember old video games, remember Pac-Man? Well, Pac-Man video game, spelled the exact same way, P-A-C-K, I think, M-A-N, and that did really, really well for me. If you look online, there are still some companies that have it, or I think it goes under a different name now. I purchased some seeds, and it was under the name of, I think, Lieutenant, which is like a new variety or a new, slightly improved version of Pac-Man. But Pac-Man always did really well for me. Nice big head, nice big plants, very easy to grow. With homegrown broccoli, the plant will grow, and you'll get that nice big head of broccoli. You need to pick it before it starts to flower. If you wait too long, the little buds are going to flower, and now it's going to be really strong tasting. But after that, if you leave the plant in your garden, it will put out more little sprouts off the sides of the stem. You can pick each and every one of them, and each one is small, but if you pick 100 of them, it's going to fill a couple colanders. And I was picking broccoli for a while. Broccoli is very, very easy to freeze also, so that's a good way. If you get a really big harvest, you're able to save it for later and none goes to waste. And yeah, Lee says that she has mango trees. I'm jealous. I'm going to get some mango trees and try growing them. I'm going to give it a shot. I know that they should do very, very well here from spring through fall. Most of the year, they're going to do fine. I know how to deal with disease issues. I know how to scout for insect pests and deal with them. I'm just a little worried about if we get really bad cold. While the tree is small, I could create just a PVC teepee, basically, and by putting a bunch of blankets on top, and I could even get a very low wattage light if it's not wet and rainy and put it underneath it. So I think I could do pretty well with mangoes. I just need to find the right variety and give it a shot. But I'm always jealous. Every time I go to Miami or Homestead, the huge mangoes and all the other tropical fruit trees are just growing in people's front yards, just as a landscape tree. I'm jealous. So somebody from our Facebook group is tuning in from Virginia. Good morning. It came up as Facebook user, so I can't tell exactly what your name is. That may be Mysterious Lily tuning in from Virginia, having just left the greater Philadelphia area. I think she was in Pennsylvania. And somebody here says, Green Goliath and Green Duke are two varieties of broccoli that are heat tolerant and are perfect for Florida's warm weather. When planting, the seeds need ample space between them in order to grow. Very good. So those are two more. I'm familiar. I've seen Green Goliath. I don't think I've seen Green Duke. So these are all varieties that you can Google and try to find online from a seed catalog and order them. I mean, I don't recommend one catalog or service or company over another. They all carry different varieties, but these are all. And what I've always tried doing is I love trying different varieties of things. And what happens is either it does great, and I remember to grow it again, like Pac-Man. It does terrible, and I remember to never grow it again because it just has no disease resistance. The fruit, the tomato, the pepper, whatever off of it, I wasn't impressed with, didn't like the harvest. So that's the only way you learn is by experimenting and trying every variety out there. And eventually you're going to have your list of favorites. And that's when your vegetable garden really kicks into high gear, when you're getting a great harvest of specific varieties that you really, really enjoy eating. So, hey, yes, it is Lily. Lily is tuning in here. She says she wasn't in Philadelphia. Well, I thought she went up to Philadelphia. I thought she went up to Pennsylvania. Somewhere in Pennsylvania, I'm not sure. Corey also asked, what varieties of lettuce have you grown? I've tried a whole bunch. I really, really like the leaf lettuce, the loose leaf lettuce, the red and green ones. I think green ice is one of the varieties. They have some really cool speckled ones now, and they have speckled, like red and green speckled romaine. Romaine is really hard to get a big bunch of romaine like what you will buy at the grocery store, but you can grow baby romaine, and that's what I like the best. One is small and tender, and I can't remember the names of the different varieties. There are some old varieties of green leaf lettuce that do really well. I can tell you that one type of lettuce that does not generally do well here in Central Florida is iceberg lettuce. But guys, iceberg lettuce is not very healthy for you either. Doesn't hurt you, kind of like eating styrofoam. Not a whole lot of nutrients or vitamins or anything in it. Not bad for you. it fills you up, but we could do better than iceberg lettuce, I think. Iceberg lettuce doesn't, it's really hard to get it to form a head like head lettuce at the grocery store looks like. So leaf lettuces do really, really well here. Swiss chard, if you like Swiss chard, it is somewhat heat tolerant. You can start it right now, or you can keep it growing a little bit later before it kind of takes a dive once things heat up and we get later into spring. That's a leafy crop that has kind of a specific taste. Some people like it. My wife hates it. I love it. I'm going to grow it again this year. I'll share pictures, let you know how it's doing. Oh, Lily was up in Pittsburgh. Okay, I forgot. I knew she was up there in Pennsylvania somewhere. And now she's in Hampton, Virginia. So see, she's traveling the entire eastern seaboard and will eventually end up back here, not next Thursday, because we're not going to have a clinic next Thursday. I'll be in Savannah, Georgia, and Lily will be, who knows where Lily's going to be, driving down the highway or somewhere. She won't be here either, but we will be here the week after that, and we will have at least one guest on here also. So I'll put that back on Facebook to remind everybody. She says it's 76 degrees up there, so pretty sunny outside right now. It's up to about, I don't know, 110. Isn't that what it feels like every day by 10:46 in the morning? Yeah, weather hasn't changed here. It has still rained here almost every single afternoon or evening, and it rained here twice yesterday. Big rains, not a little sprinkle, big rains. And my plants are loving it. They're actually growing well for the first time this summer because of all the rain that they're getting. They just can't help but actually grow and start to look good. And Lee, I think this is a variety of mango. She said cogshell is a condo type and can be grown in a very large pot. You can move the pot and put it in a garage in the wintertime. I will write that down and look that up. That is probably a mango variety that's grafted onto a dwarfing rootstock that helps it to naturally stay smaller. Um, oh yeah, I could put a pot out by the pool in the screen covered area and move it around if it gets cold. Yeah, I'll definitely try one of those. And I do have a spot where I want to put in one in the ground. I have another spot also that's kind of already bookmarked for finger lime. And if anybody's not familiar with finger limes, look that up under University of Florida finger limes. It's a really unusual, unique citrus relative that I think it gets citrus greening, but does not suffer from it. It does not show any symptoms. It gets a little kind of gourmet citrus fruit off of it. Very thorny, but when I read about it, saw information on it, I just had to try that. So we'll put together a class on growing finger limes sometime also. Oh, and Glenda asks, what is the newer version of Pac-Man you mentioned? I think it's called Lieutenant. So just like a lieutenant in the military, that's how it's spelled. And I believe that's a newer variety or somehow related to Pac-Man. It's supposed to have similar attributes and growth patterns, size. Like I said, Pac-Man always worked really, really well for me. Very happy. Lily says she's going to have a lot to mow when she gets back. Yeah, I was out of town, a week or so ago. When I got back, oh my gosh, I had a lot to mow. I have a lot to mow this weekend, and I will have even more to mow next weekend after I get back from a week-long conference. We're not into fall really and dormant season with our lawns here in Central Florida yet. So guys, if you live in Central Florida, it's coming. All of a sudden, magically, one day your lawn will slow down and stop growing, and you'll actually be able to take a weekend off from having to cut it. But we're not there yet. Oh, Lee says she has a cog shell that's only 4 feet tall in the ground and is 10 years old. Do you get mangoes off of it? Is it actually producing? And Glenda says, so far broccoli has been pitiful for me. Plant it during the winter. If you start the seeds, let's say early to mid-October, start the seeds. It's going to be about 4 weeks before the little seedlings are ready to go transplant in the garden. Grow them from there. And the weather's not hideously, unusually hot for wintertime here. Broccoli can do very, very well. So a lot of times people's broccoli problems are because they didn't plant it. They planted it either too early or too late when it was still too hot. And Corey asks, when do we plant winter rye? The winter rye that you overseed your lawn with, I would start early October. And it might take more than one application to get good coverage on your lawn. And if October tends to be really, really hot, that may be a little bit too early. But hopefully it'll still be raining some in October. So it's safe to try it early October or anytime after that. Yeah, Corey, I do the same thing. You just wait until you see all your neighbors do it and it's already coming up and go like, darn, I'm late. I better get out there and do it then. Don't feel bad. I do the same thing. Oh, wow. Lee said her mango tree, the cog shell mango, has large size mangoes. Okay, I'm going to order one. I'm going to be on Google later on today and ordering one up and having it sent. And I guess I'll have to find a large, attractive container to put it in. And yeah, here in Central Florida, you can grow container fruit trees. Teresa here at the office has a lemon tree growing it in a container. You want to try to find a variety that is grafted on a dwarfing rootstock, so it's going to naturally stay small. If you go out there and you buy like a Texas red grapefruit tree and put it in a 5-gallon pot, it's just going to get too big. It's going to break whatever size pot you put it in, unless you get a ridiculously sized pot, like 100-gallon pot. So you have to get the right variety and right type of fruit tree, but there's a lot that you can grow in containers. And if it's in a container, you can move it. If you're going to get a freeze, you move it to where it's not going to freeze. In your garage, in the middle of your living room. Tell your spouse, I'm sorry, but it's freezing out tonight. You don't want the mango to die. Get yelled at. Do it anyway. Put it back out when it warms up. So, guys, wow, time flies. We're pushing about that time here. So I will let you think about your last minute questions. And let me go ahead and share a couple of things here. That is my email address if you ever want to send me pictures, ask a question. Lily is not here with us today. She's in Virginia. She was up around Philadelphia, I think, in Pennsylvania. She'll be back here someday. So you can shoot her an email. You'll probably get an away message if you do it today, though. Like I said, please take a moment and take our very brief survey. Very important. If you've already taken this once before, don't do it again. Once is enough. Once is just fine. Taking it multiple times is just going to confuse me when I'm trying to evaluate the information there. Let me go ahead and pull that up to share in the comments. Let me get back to comments. And I put that link to our survey back in the comments. So if at some point you could be kind enough to click on that link, take a very short, secure Qualtrics survey. We're just trying to evaluate what we're doing here. Some days we're trying to figure out what we're doing here. But like I said, that will make you eligible for future Calabasas seeds. Just give me a few weeks to finish growing them. Let them cure for a week or so, cut them up, clean the seeds, and we will be sending Calabasas seeds to anybody who wants them. Email me. Don't do it yet, but when I tell you to, email me and we'll go ahead and mail out 5 or 10 seeds to you. So please take our survey. We always appreciate that. Let's see what else I have here. If you ever need to contact our office, there is our phone number. If you call today, Teresa will answer the phone, and hopefully she'll take care of whatever your question or problem is. If not, she'll forward it to me. If I can't answer it, I'll find somebody who can. So we'll get you taken care of. And let's see if we have any last minute questions here. Look at that. Monique says, wow, that was the easiest survey. I love to hear that because University of Florida asks us to take surveys. And I figure, well, that's great. I'm more than happy to help them out with the research and take a survey. I click on it, and it's 14 pages long. I'm thinking like, oh my God, I don't want to be here half of the day today taking a 14-page survey. I hate this. So I make mine short and painless. So obviously I succeeded because Monique says that was the easiest survey. So don't be shy, everybody. Click that link. Feel free to join in. And especially for anybody watching this as a video recording, you can also look in the comments, scroll down. When you see that Qualtrics survey link, you can click on it also and take it. We want to hear from everybody who either watches this live or watches it recorded, watches it, after the fact on Facebook. This is on YouTube also. This is also a podcast. So everybody go ahead and take the survey. Yay, Lee took the survey also. She said that was quick. See, don't be afraid. And Corey asked about my calabaza. It is round. It is very pumpkin-like. As a matter of fact, my wife said it's shaped like a pumpkin. It looks very much like a pumpkin. It's yellowish. It's the color of a butternut squash. And I know if you look online, you'll see pictures of calabaza that are all different colors. So mine just happens to be tan. And Lee says, thank you as always. Thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in. We really appreciate your questions, your comments. We're more than happy to help. Like I said, final reminder, we will not be here next Thursday. And next Thursday is the 22nd. But we will be here the following Thursday, the 29th. And to the best of my knowledge, I know that I'll be here. I'm pretty sure Lily will be here. I do have a special guest. The new extension agent from Marion County up in Ocala will be here. And maybe somebody else will be here also. So please be sure to tune in and save up your questions and ask them live. You can always email me in advance, like the day before, or early the morning of the clinic. And if you send pictures, I can screen share them with everybody live. And that way everybody kind of learns from everybody. This is kind of a team effort here. And Lee sent me an email with a picture of her mango tree. Let me look real quick and see if that showed up. Still waiting on the email. My email piles up oh so quickly. But thank you so much, Lee. Oh, here we go. And let me go back here. Try to share again quickly before we go. And there is her dwarf mango tree. That's beautiful. Nice looking garden bed too. Looks a lot cleaner and more under control than my backyard is. So I need to work on how my backyard looks this weekend, I think. Productive is number one, attractive number two, but that's important too. So thank you, Lee. I'm definitely going to look into ordering one of those varieties, put it in a container, and see how it does. So, guys, It looks like, oh my gosh, ding, it is 11 a.m. We stayed right on time today. Actually showed good time management. Thank you so much for tuning in. Once again, we won't be back here next Thursday, but we will be back here the following Thursday. So until then, thank you so much. Please be sure to tune in, and we'll be here to answer all your questions. See you then. Bye.